Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's YBP Gang, YBP Nation, YBP Boxing, YBP MMA. I'm coming at y'all with the immediate fight reaction for Times Square boxing card. I will say slightly disappointed, obviously, with the results that took place, but honestly, a lot of storylines to come out of the card. You know, we got first fight of the night, obviously, Teofimo Lopez and Arnold Barboza. I think with that fight going on right there, I think it was a fight that it was a masterclass by Teofimo Lopez, but super competitive. Honestly, it might have been I don't want to say the best fight of the card, but definitely something that I think, I don't know, it might be the most forgettable thing on the card, honestly. Because even though Tio went out there and dominated and put on a good performance, I feel like people feel like he didn't put a stamp on it. He didn't really put emphasis on the win. And yeah, just not something that people are going to remember. I don't think it really moves Tio crazy up. Obviously, the only way that you can really rate the win so highly is if, you had Barboza, you think highly of Barboza, but again, Tio, he does this thing where it's he can't hurt his opponent too much, so he might start dancing. And we were in round 5, and he already decided that he was going to start showboating. And the fight really didn't change, honestly. Barboza, it just seemed like Tio was too fast, too athletic in that fight. So really interesting fight going on there. I don't know if, to me, what I saw, when it comes to Tio talking, a lot of people are talking about Boots, which is really cool to see. A young prospect, everyone's calling him out. So no one's scared of him, but it's a really tough fight. To me, what I saw out of Tio was that he's a slightly smaller, less powerful version of Boots. So I don't think that fight goes well. But if he wants to do it, that's up to him. So, but nothing that, like I said, Tio, that's the Tio that I'm used to seeing. I said going into the fight, it was more of a momentum thing with the pick that I had, but the two picks that I did have though, for the lock parlay, I told people to stay away from Rolly Garcia, and you saw how that played out. Super, super risky. And then you saw the co-main event, a little, I can't say I'm surprised. Well, we'll talk about that, but again, the first fight of the night, under 1.5 knockdowns. Even though Tio had a comfortable lead, didn't really start going for broke till later in the fight and started putting emphasis on those punches. But yeah, they were still swinging heavy, but neither guy just didn't have really pop on the punches. So, but it wasn't completely boring. We'll talk about the fight that I think a lot of people are going to be considering the one of the worst fights of all time. I still think Shakur and Edwin De Los Santos is a really bad fight, but I don't think this was as bad. I think you got a little bit more out of it for sure with the angles that Haney was cutting. So yeah, let's talk about it. Haney Ramirez. I thought Haney, honestly, I already kind of talked about this fight, so I don't want to go too in depth. I think I want to talk more about the Rolly Romero fight and Ryan Garcia fight, but because I already did the live video. But I just want to I do want to take the opportunity to say, I think, shout out to Haney. I think, honestly, looking at that performance, I think a lot of people are going to look at that fight and be like, hey, given the context, given what's going on with Subriel Matias, my bad, not Subriel Matias, Devin Haney. I was thinking about the Subriel Matias situation because it was in my mind. It was I forgot what it's called, when you're thinking of something, but you don't mean to say it. But I was thinking about the Subriel Matias situation because after I think he killed somebody in the ring, then he took a loss or something like that. I forgot. But it was something similar to that. It's something messes with you. You don't necessarily akin that to it, but, it's kind of similar here because Subriel Matias was a little gun shy in that fight and he had lost it. This was a little less beneficial. Here, you have a guy in Devin Haney who, fights a guy, Ryan Garcia, feels like he's on the same level as him. Ryan Garcia comes in with the Austerine, comes in with these extra advantages, and beats him. Even though Haney was able to hang tough and still box behind his jab, honestly, when he was really hurt, him being a little bit emotional, him being kind of reckless, made a fight that really should have been a lot easier. And as we're looking at it, probably should have won that fight. Made it a lot tougher on him. So what you saw to Devin Haney today, I think, was part of the game plan. I think, obviously early on the fight for the first half, it was a lot of ring rust, a lot of running around and him being really gun shy, and then him, reacting kind of heavily, a little bit of poor body language maybe when the shots are coming. But as the fight went on, round 8 through 12, You saw the body language kind of shift. He was able to move. I mean, the footwork was amazing throughout the fight, moving laterally. And I will say, I didn't like the low volume, the pot shotting. But again, as the fight went on, round 8 through 12, you saw a little more of that jab. You saw some really good openings and cutting angles to get the uppercut, overhand rights, straights, all that type of stuff. So I love the versatility that Haney showed. Was it the most beautiful performance? No. Was it a defensive masterclass? Honestly, it kind of, I mean, he barely got hit. He barely even got touched. So, but then again, not a lot of punches were thrown by either guy. You know, you could argue, you know, Jose was super slow. So maybe Haney should have changed the game plan. But what it seems like, if I'm just trying to understand, try to really comprehend what was going on, what I was looking at, it seemed like they made a game plan for Haney. You know, part of this fight was going to be sticking to a game plan and going with it. I think there was a game plan that they had planned for Haney in the Ryan fight, and it kind of got led astray, kind of got hyped up by people around him, saying that he could knock him out, and he kind of got away from the stuff that got him to the dance. So this is Haney going back to his roots, being the fighter that kind of got him to the dance. Obviously, more of the fighter that we saw in the latter half. Obviously, throwing more of his own offense, putting Jose on his back foot for a little bit, getting to the center, not running away the whole time. And this is what separated Haney from Shakur. Shakur was supposed to be the extreme version of this, doing what Haney was doing for the first 8 rounds. You know, kind of lateral movement, you know, not engaging, you know, ultra defense. And Shakur's getting better at this too, but it's the matchups and the styles. But like I said, honestly, with my breakdown of that fight, I don't think just because Haney fought like this, that doesn't mean that he's going to look so terrible in a Ryan rematch and that he has no chance and, you know, he can't recover. I think, honestly, this gives you more confidence in the fight where he can. That's honestly the only thing that he has to do is just watch out for that left hook. I just don't know how you could not, like, he's the guy who has to make the adjustments and he's the guy who can make the biggest changes to really have the biggest result. Because what is Ryan without the left hook? And that's a good segue because we saw in the Rolly Romero fight, he really is nothing. The in-between and the stuff that happens after the left hook and before it, you know, he struggles. And we saw that in the Haney fight, but it was exposed even more against Rolly because Rolly, ultra patient, and he kind of just, he said, hey, Ryan, let's see what you got. So you saw, you know, Ryan working his jab, but it wasn't too effective. Didn't throw it enough, really inactive. And Rolly was just taking advantage of that, really working the body, did that really, really well. I wish Haney would have done better of that in their fight, especially when it's curling up. You saw the defense by Ryan is still kind of concerning. Like when he eats a shot, he has some really poor body language. He showed a little bit. It was I feel like it was way worse in the Haney fight because he would just like curl up. But it was effective because Haney couldn't like get to his body, couldn't get to his head without it being back of the head. So it was effective in that way. It looked kind of like terrible and like pathetic, but it worked because Haney didn't know how to exploit it. He didn't do that necessarily in this fight, but he did a little bit of that. But Rolly was able to work to the body, kind of hook to the body, and also get to the head in those spots. So again, I don't know if Ryan looked so bad. I want to give Rolly so much credit. I don't think like Ryan's like, well, I just think Ryan's always been this bad. Like I just think like when Devin called Ryan a C-level fighter, like I truly think he is. Like I just think that one trick pony shit that he had got him so far. Because if people are gonna say, oh well, he's a C-level fighter, then how did Devin lose? I mean, the one thing that he's good at is really effective. It's not something to be taken lightly, and I think Haney just disregarded that. Rolly was able to really stifle that. He was able to be very patient, fight within himself. It was controlled aggression. I think that's the best way to describe this performance. And with that power, you know, obviously in the second round, he was able to get that knockdown with the hook. And just throughout that stretch, I think the biggest thing that I saw in that fight was the body work. Just this beautiful body work, just beat into that body. And everything that he throws is almost like a power shot. So that hurts. I think, like, you know, jabs to the face, it eventually adds up. But those, like, hard shots to the body, they hurt, man. You know, you saw that, like, Ryan did not want to eat those shots continuously as the fight went on. So, honestly, I'm going to give Rolly the full credit. I don't think that this was some, like, Ryan looking so terrible. I mean, I just think he's always been this way. I just think it took, honestly, I feel like Haney played a part in exposing him. Tank did. And Rolly just used all that and put it all together and improved and stepped up his game. I think we saw an improved version of him, not only just in this specific matchup, but just the way he went about it, just the game plan and all that type of stuff. So I don't think past Rollies would have been able to do this. So the fact that he was able to put it all together, shout out to his coaches, shout out to everyone who's been managing him. And Rolly, man, humble in victory. Same with the Ryan, humble in defeat, no excuses. But yeah, Rolly was like, hey man, if he wants the rematch with Haney, he can go do that. But yeah, if I'm being honest, if we're talking about what should happen next, I would like to see Devin Haney go up against Rolly Romero. I've been on record to say I feel like the fight should have been switched up. I feel like Jose, maybe not Jose in hindsight, because Jose's just washed, like just terrible. Like the guy is so slow. But a boxer, like a boxer who could give Ryan trouble, just so we could see how Ryan would do against a boxer and how Devin would do against a puncher, so it would hype up the matchup. If they can't beat those lesser guys that are akin to each other, like their opponent's style, then maybe we shouldn't be seeing this fight. But now, they gave Ryan a puncher, and then they gave like Devin an old guy who can't even throw. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. I think if anything, I think people overrated Ryan. This gives us a better view of like how good he actually is. And just the one-trick pony thing that we've been talking about. Again, like I said, I think, for the future, they could have definitely match made better. But, yeah, because they match made Haney perfectly. I think the Rolly fight. But honestly, he should have beat a guy like Rolly, though. I don't know. He should have let his hands go. I don't know. But maybe he's just not the same. I did say in the bet and breakdown that I feel like that edge, the drugs, the craziness going around him, he almost thrived in that. This one, him being so chill, I was kind of like, there's a craziness about Ryan that makes him, on edge. You just didn't see that really play out in the fight. And yeah, he, instead of like fighting in spurts, he kind of walked the whole time. Never really kicked out of the, second gear. There were times where he would get confident, but then just as soon as, I think it was at the end of, because I had it 5-4 or 4-4 going into the 9th, and just as Rolly's like activity kind of slowed and Ryan was kind of starting to pick it up, then Rolly won the last 4 rounds easily. Round 9 he picks it up, round 10 he's eating to the body, he's throwing way more. So Rolly kind of lured him in, just as Ryan was getting comfortable, just snapped, and then Ryan just didn't know how to react. He didn't start throwing with him. I thought we'd get something like the Duarte fight. Because remember, Duarte kept coming and coming and coming. Pause. But Ryan matched him, So I don't know if maybe Duarte just doesn't hit as hard. I think Rolly might have obviously he hurt him early. That's not something that Duarte did, but he must have felt Rolly's power and he was like, I don't want this. You know what I mean? That's what I think happened. And he was like, I don't want to do the trading shit. Because he was trading with Duarte crazy, like, that's the Duarte fight made me, think that, okay, Rolly's amazing, Rolly's good, but Ryan is not afraid to go into the fire, and he can be a little more precise in the pocket. But yeah, you always give Rolly a chance, and I just thought this fight was so unpredictable. So yeah, I keep edging you guys with the next fights that I want. The next fight that I want for sure is Haney versus Rolly. I think that's a great fight. We could see how he could deal with that puncher matchup. And honestly, Rolly is a legitimate fighter. He's not just some guy that Tank beat. With this win over Ryan Garcia and, the boxing that we saw, he was able to outbox Ryan. Now he's somebody who we can, legitimately see as a title contender at 140. I don't really like him at 147, but Haney as a standalone fight I think is really good, just so, Haney can prove himself and Rolly can continue to build his name. It's a huge fight. Rolly has a name on him. Now he's a guy who's beaten Ryan Garcia. And I was actually kind of shocked that he got the decision. I thought they were going to rob him, honestly. But it's one of those things where it's like, even if they did rob him, it's like no one wants to see that fight. I don't even want to see. I kind of selfishly do. That's why I'm like a little bittersweet about, like, I'm not so like celebratory about Ryan losing, because it's like, I was for a second. I was like, yes, he got it. But I was like, like how. Because, again, like, Haney doesn't have to... I want Haney to get his shining moment against these guys. It's like when some of these guys get exposed, like it was Sabrina Matias, obviously, when he lost to Paro, and then it was this guy, what's his name? And then Paro lost to Hitchens. I get this bitter taste in my mouth. It's like, oh, these guys are hype jobs. Y'all thought Haney would win, but I wish that Haney was the one to expose these guys. You know, I know he had the ability to do that. When these prospects or these guys, they hype, they're like, oh, like Haney would get eaten, and then they lose. So I wish Haney got his crowning moment to be able, because this is his story. You know, he's the reason why we're here in this place with this event. You know. Not Rolly, but, you know, at the end of the night, Rolly's the one who kind of steals the show with the performance of the night. Honestly, beating... He's the story that we're going to be talking about all weekend, not Canelo Skull in a way. I mean, we're going to be talking about Rolly Romero and what he did to kind of stifle the plans. And he talked about it. He said, hey, I'm going to win this fight. You guys can still do your rematch. And honestly, they could still do it, but it just won't hit the same. You know what I mean? It won't hit the same at all. It won't. Partially because of how Haney looked and heavily because of, you know, Ryan losing. And you almost don't even... I think you just scrapped the whole thing. They can meet, and that's another thing, like, them not doing the immediate rematch. The thing with this fight, it will never not be big. As long as they stay around the same weight class, you can always go back to it. But again, sometimes you just gotta leave it how it is. I think that fight just might be cursed. I think just let Haney fight Rolly. And for Ryan Garcia... There's a guy named Conor Benn that just did 12 hard rounds with Chris Eubank. I think that's an amazing fight. So I think you go for that. I don't think you put that on the same card, but yeah, put Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia. Put it in the UK. They're both drug cheats. They've both gone through scrutiny in the public. Both maybe not liked. I think Ryan probably is more liked, but after this fight, I don't know how the people are going to feel about him. You know, this is what, I don't know. It was like they glaze him a lot, like for, even with the crazy stuff that they said, but because they're able to do that because of what he's able to do in the ring. They're like, okay, this guy might be, you know, saying the crazy stuff. But it's kind of like Kanye. I don't want to akin Ryan Garcia to Kanye, but I think he had his, like, graduation moment. You know, it was like, oh, you know, Kanye's a terrible person, but he made graduation. Ryan Garcia's a terrible person, but he beat Devin Haney. We all hate Devin Haney, so... It's like, it's kind of like that with Ryan Garcia. But now, with this Rolly Romero fight, what do they always say? You're only as good as your last fight. And he looked like a shell of himself. You know, he didn't look that good. And it wasn't even that exciting of a fight, too. It's not like you got to see some barn burner of a fight. Oh, he lost, but hey, man, it was a good fight. A lot of people are coming out of this event saying it's trash. So it'll be interesting to see how the fans react to this. But, yeah, man, I mean... To me, I like to talk about how this was a great event before it even started, because no matter what happened, there were going to be storylines that came out of it, big ones, and you're getting it right now. You got Tio with his performance. Where does he go next? You have Ryan Garcia with his performance. Where does he go next? You know, you have Rolly Romero, the biggest winner of the card. Where does he go next? And Haney, he's kind of in a limbo because it's like, you know, you had a lackluster performance, not what people were expecting, but your arch nemesis just lost, you know, and he didn't really look that good. So kind of fucked up the bag. Kind of like with Haney goes out there and beats Jojo Diaz, Tio loses to Camboso. Similar story there. So this is why I always thought the immediate rematch should have just happened, because you just never know what could happen in between. Maybe this is the best scenario for Haney. Maybe like Ryan was his kryptonite, and if they would have rematched, it would have been bad. So this is like best case scenario. Now he can go out there and style on Rolly, and everyone will forget about the Ryan fight. It's possible. I don't know. But again, I just wish he was able to get his rematch. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I will say I'm not the biggest fan of Ryan, but shout out to him. The thing is with that before, I don't even feel like sitting on the guy. Like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. I just don't have, like, I know he's like, you know, he said he's kind of a racist piece of shit, said some crazy stuff about, you know, with the N-words and Muslim shit that he said, done some fucked up things, but it's just like, I don't even feel like talking shit about the guy. I don't know. Because the guy, I mean, we still gotta, I just feel like we passed that at this point. But we're not, though, because it's always gonna haunt Haney's career. it's always going to be in the back of my mind. But again, it's up to, you just got to put that in the past. I just don't think that's the fight to make. The hype isn't there. You can always run it, but I think you go with the Rolly fight, because I think that's easy. That's like taking candy from a kid, that Rolly fight. He should dance around him, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I've talked for a lot. 20-minute post-fight breakdown. We got a UFC card tomorrow. Yeah, I'll probably drop maybe a parlay video about that card. Should be fun. We got Canelo Skull tomorrow, and then we got on Monday Inoue Cardenas. So again, a lot of, maybe not the most exciting card, but a lot of storylines to come out of tonight. That's what I got for y'all today, man. Leave a like and subscribe. Peace out, most. It is.